Alright, we are back with another Wi-Fi Pokemon Draft League with the CMM 7th season. So, for those of you who've seen my past content, you would know that in their last season, I actually made it all the way to finals in my first ever Wi-Fi experience really, my first time uploading. Well, obviously, I didn't get around to every week. And yeah, since they are holding another season, I thought I may as well join. And this time they are playing low tier, or I would go as far to say hyper low tier, since all the good Pokemon, all the decent Pokemon, I would even say some of the middling Pokemon are all banned. So a lot of these Pokemon that you would see are often the Pokemon you would see on the lower end of draft boards, or some that you pretty much never see at all really. And yeah, I definitely think it's going to be an interesting format. It's a lot of different Pokemon. Top tiers are obviously going to be very different to normal, and pretty much no one has any experience with who's playing in this format. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see not just how my season goes, but also theirs as well. And I would also, before we get into the team, appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. A small creator like myself and a lot of draft creators don't really have many subscribers, so it really helps. And yeah, without further ado, I suppose we should get into the team. So we actually had the first overall pick out of 16, and we decided to pick up Flamigo. Now Flamigo has a very strong stab combination of flying and fighting. Its Brave Birds and Close Combats hit very hard, off a pretty decent 115 attack stat for this format. All things considered, it's pretty good, as well as having a decent 90 speed. 90 speed actually gets the jump on a lot of things in this format. In like normal draft, you wouldn't really consider 90 speed to be all that great, but here, because of how limited some of the options are, it is actually very useful. Of course, if we want more speed, we could go for stuff like Choice Scarf U-Turn. U-Turn obviously keeping up pressure, momentum, and getting us out of there while also doing some damage. And its ability Scrappy is also very helpful, allowing us to hit ghost types with our close combats. Normal moves as well. Do we have any notable normal moves? I guess we have Facade and Endeavor would hit ghost types, so that's also interesting. Obviously this does also have setup options in like Sword Stance. It's a very versatile mon. I think it puts in a lot of work for what it does. There's only like, I believe, maybe 1 or 2 Pokemon that can actually switch into this stab combination of Close Combat and Brave Bird with its ability Scrappy, because it also hits ghost types. I believe the only one I could think off the top of my head is Rotom Fan, and we don't even play it during the regular season, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. And yeah, I think it's just an overall strong pick. As the first overall pick, I definitely think it was a little underpriced as well. I was debating between this and Cypher. Ultimately I did decide to go with Flamigo, but I think Cypher is also pretty strong, able to hold the Eviolite. Obviously it does want boots quite a lot because of the Stealth Rock weakness, but I also consider that and think it's very powerful too. So for our second pick, we decided to pick up Berserker. Now Berserker is a steel type, which is very valuable in this format, since, well, there really aren't many options. Now I did originally personally want Copperaja, but unfortunately it was taken, but Berserker's still really good. With its ability Tough Claws, all of its contact moves like Iron Head get multiplied by 1.3 times, so doing a lot more damage than normal. Obviously stuff like Knockoff also gets boosted, but it also has the ability Steely Spirit, so if you want to go all in on like Steel Stab, say something like a Choice Band Iron Head set, we could also go with that. As well as this thing just has quite a few good options as well. Close Combat, Knockoff, great coverage, as well as getting stuff like Stealth Rocks, U-Turn as well for more pivoting, which is really nice. Its stat spread is, I think, pretty decent. Obviously that 110 attack stats are quite often going to be boosted by Tough Claws or Steely Spirit, which is definitely something to keep in mind. 100 defense isn't bad. 70, 60 SPDF HP isn't the greatest, but you definitely can make it work. Especially this thing can hold Assault Vest. We could just go with 4 attacks, maybe something like this. And 50 speed, I don't really think we're going to need speed on it too much, but it's still not the slowest in the world, so that's fine. As well as slow U-turn actually, that's also something to keep in mind. And yeah, that's what we picked round 2, but this was also the wheel, so we got another pick with Berserker and we decided to pick up Golurk. Now Golurk is a Pokemon I really wanted to use. It has pretty decent stats, all things considered. 124 attack is very strong. We do have quite a strong physical core. Obviously we're gonna pick up some special attackers after this, but it can hit very hard. Obviously Ground Ghost is another really strong stab combination. Earthquake, Poltergeist hit really hard, as well as it having the ability No Guard, so its Poltergeist will always hit. Notably Dynamic Punch as well can be really annoying with its guaranteed confusion, as well as Stone Edge, you know, very strong, nice to have, hit flyings and stuff as a ground type, but obviously it misses quite often, but with that not being able to miss, it is also very nice. Notably No Guard does also make it so that we are always hit by moves, so maybe something like a Tech Blizzard or something could be used against a No Guard Golurk, but I'm not really sure if they would do it specifically for Golurk. I feel like you probably want something that benefits the team a bit more, a little more reliable. That is definitely something to keep in mind as well. Now it does also have the ability Iron Fist to boost its, you know, punching moves like Drain Punch. Does it get like Ice Punch? It does get Ice Punch as well. Thunder Punch? Oh, it gets Thunder Punch as well. I honestly didn't know that. I'll be honest. And 89, 80, 80 isn't bad bulk. It's actually pretty decent to be honest. It's not the best, like obviously a lot of the times you want a really bulky ground type. There are a lot of ground types in this format, a lot of good ones as well, but it's definitely respectable. Like Berserker and Flamigo, they have their bulk isn't bad. Flamigo, even though it is offensive, well, it does still have a relatively okay HP stat. Its defenses are a bit low, especially its SPDF, but you know, not actually the worst in the world. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There's obviously some cool items you can run on it as well. Choice Band, Assault Vest, though this thing does also get Stealth Rocks as well, so it's another rocker, and base 55 speed as well. In this format, it's actually not that bad to be too slow, since you can actually often go run some speed investment on these mons, since you know, the top speeds are not actually really too much higher than some of these lower speed mons. You definitely can get the jump on some things by going a faster speed on some slower mons, and that's also something that you do need to consider about this format as well, which I find interesting. So we got Berserker and Golurk in the wheel, so we had to wait quite a long time for it to come back to us, and we for our next pick we decided to pick up Executor Alola, or Alolan Executor, whatever you wanted to call it, and this is another Pokemon I just really wanted to use. Now it has a great special attack stat of 125, and it also has some very nice moves that I can use. Obviously Draco Meteor on Dragon Pulse, Energy Ball, Giga Drain if you want that recovery option, but also Flamethrower as well, which is something to keep in mind. Now it does also have 2 pretty useful abilities. Frisk, which I didn't even know this thing got, which obviously is very useful in draft. You're able to immediately identify the opponent's item, which definitely can change how you play. Getting that information is always a big thing in draft, so that is very nice to have. But it does also have Harvest, so you could do something like Harvest Citrus Berry. Obviously with its grass dragon typing, while it does have some nice resists, it is weak to a lot of types. But you could also go like something like Yati Berry, get it back with Harvest, which is a 50% chance, or 100% in Sun. But the weather the weather rocks, or whatever you want to call it, that extend the amount of time that a weather is up, are banned. So we're probably not going to be going for sunny day, but it's always an option and it's interesting to consider. That's pretty much what it does. It does also have some interesting options. Calm Mind Curse. It has a relatively good attack stat as well of 105. 95, 85, 75 bulk's also pretty nice. It definitely can take some hits, and while it does have only 45 speed, it does also have Trick Room, which is another interesting option. You know, we have Golurk and Berserker, two pretty slow mons, as well as Executor, so being able to flip the speeds with Trick Room is also a very interesting option to have. So for the second Pokemon we got on this wheel, I decided we wanted some, well, so-called elite speed, and we decided to pick up Electabuzz. Now, if you look at 105 speed, you probably wouldn't call that elite speed, but in this format, there really isn't too many fast options, really. 105 is like some of the best you're going to be able to get. Obviously, there are a few mons that are faster, like Wug Trio, but I mean, we're seriously talking about Wug Trio here. Now, Electabuzz is nice. It's able to hold the Eviolite. Now, there is a limit to how many Eviolite holders you could have on your team, which is 2, but I haven't really drafted my team to have too many non-evolved Pokemon. So this Pokemon can actually take some quite a few hits as well. Obviously, it does have a pretty low 75 defense, but with investment that can somewhat be fixed, I'd say. And an also pretty nice 85 Spadef stat and 65 HP, so its bulk isn't actually too bad with the Eviolite. Now, the main reason I wanted to pick this up, you know, as another special attacker with its 95 special attack and a speedy Pokemon with base 105 speed, it has options like Volt Switch, obviously Thunderbolt, but it does also, I believe for special coverage, it does have Psychic as well. So that is definitely something interesting. Now, its special move pool isn't the greatest, but it can also make work of its lower 83 attack with options like Knockoff, Ice Punch, which this mon does get actually, and options like Brick Break. Oh yes, this thing does also get Focus Blast. Now, I notoriously hate this move, but Electabuzz doesn't exactly have the best options to hit some stuff, so I might find myself bringing that at some point as well. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Knockoff is obviously really nice, knocking off items, especially with some Eviolite users running around. I guess for physical coverage we would have to be running Supercell Slam, which isn't the greatest, or I guess we could do Thunder Punch. I'm not too sure about how the physical set would go, but it definitely does have some options with Knockoff, Ice Punch and Brick Break if I think I'm gonna face Screams. And finally, it does have Static and Vital Spirit. Static is nice for tanking physical moves or moves that make contact, and giving them a 30% chance to paralyze, which is obviously pretty nice. And Vital Spirit, while not as common, I don't think is going to come into play as often. It is still nice since there are a bunch of Sleep Powder users in this format, and it simply means that Electabuzz can't go to sleep. So after this, we had to wait another a lot of picks in order to get to our next 2 picks, and during this we got sniped a lot. So I made different variations of the teams depending on what got taken, and I believe I got sniped a total of I think it was 6 or 7 times. Please don't laugh at that, you're better than this. And for our next pick, we decided to pick up Torkoal. Now, you might think Torkoal is very strong. It has Drought, obviously what it's known for, Solar Beam, but no, it does not have Drought. Torkoal is not allowed in this, so that does make it quite a bit worse. It also, unless it runs a Power Herb, it can't really run Solar Beam, to be honest, since it doesn't have the Drought, which just sets up the sun, which is understandable, but still, it has a pretty decent stat spread, 70 HP, a big 140 defense, so as a physical tank, it's really nice to have. 70 Spadef, it's workable, and it can hit either on the physical side with Flare Blitz or special with flamethrower, so there's like flamethrower. It does have option flare blitz, or it could be going for body presses off its base 140 defense. So hitting off that would also be nice. I believe this mon does, oh yeah, it does also get earth power and earthquake, which is some nice coverage that this mon has. Ooh, this mon also has gyro ball. I'll be honest, I didn't even know it had that. And it has some nice options overall. I guess stuff you wouldn't usually consider. But above all, the most important option is really rapid spin, to be able to get rid of hazards. In this format, often we're going to be holding the heavy duty boots in order not to take hazard damage. Shell armor is also situational. It means we can't get hit by critical hits, as well as just being able to use like stealth rock as another rocker for our team if we want to be more offensive with Golurk or Berserker, or if we want to run Assault Vest or something, but also Yawn as well as an option to try and slow down our opponents. And for the other pick that we decided to draft on the in this round or back to back was Venomoth. Now I'm not a big fan of this mon, I really didn't want to draft it too much, but considering the grounded poison options that were left, it was kind of necessary. Now, you know things are bad when the options are between this and after this, it's Ariados and Surviper, which are some really not great moves. Well, Ariados is still usable, I'd say. Surviper is truly got that Gen 3 stat spread where it is somehow bad at absolutely everything. Of course, you might think I'm underselling this mon. Obviously, it does get Quiver Dance, but that is banned in this format. It's understandable. Getting a big boost in special attack speed. Spadef is a pretty big boost, but I believe Dragon Dance is still allowed for the mons that have it, I think. So that's definitely interesting. And it does also have the Tinted Lens ability, which means all not very effective moves do double damage. So basically doesn't have any resist unless they quad resist the move I'm going for. Now for its stats, 90 isn't particularly great, but with Tinted Lens there's definitely some things I can make work. 90 speed, the same as Flamigo, it's actually pretty decent. And its bulk is 70, 60, 75, which is the reason why I wasn't really too big on this. I wanted my grounded poison to be a bit more defensive, but yeah, I can't really choose what's left on the board at that point, and I just have to take what I can get, really. Now, this mon does get the obvious option of Bug Buzz, and the Sludge Bomb, also stuff. I believe it gets U-Turn as well, Toxic Spikes, Psychic, stuff like that. So it's not bad, it's definitely usable. I believe this thing does also get Morning Sun, but I'm not really sure what's gonna do with that bulk. But yeah, this is what we decided to pick up. And after Venomoth, after waiting for it to come back to us again, we finally decided to pick up a water type in Golduck. Now by this point, most of the good water types had already gone, but actually a lot of them had picked up waters early, so I was kind of holding off on it for a bit, and in the end we decided to pick up Golduck. Now the weather rocks are banned, so I'm not really too sure how much use we could get out of Swift Swim. It's definitely nice to get some countering some of our opponents. Now we do also have Cloud9 as ability, which negates all weather if they're trying to go with a weather strategy or something. There are a few things, I believe, like maybe Sandaconda's Sand Spit, which is niche, but it's definitely it is something it could do ability wise. And yeah, it just has, I'd say, decent enough bulks, 80, 78, 80. Not the best, but you know, as a water type, it's serviceable to switch into hits. Obviously, it does get more momentum for us with Flip Turn, as well as just the normal options of Surf, Ice Beam, stuff like that, Psychic as well. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. It does also have like Nasty Plot as some options. I believe it also has a knockoff for some reason. It has a weirdly deep move pool for some reason. But there's not too much special about this mon. 85 speed. It's actually pretty decent as well. We do have Venomoth and Flamigo full speed as well, but this is definitely an option. And 95 is like, relatively not too bad, to be honest. It's like decently hard, and for options like items, we could go. There are definitely some options like Life Orb, maybe one of the choice items, or Assault Vest, since if we wanted to play as a more of a defensive water type, or I'd just say at this point a real water type. That's kind of what Golduck is able to do. And yeah, the other one we decided to pick this round was Carbink, which I think was an absolute steal for the price point it was at. Now this one, it gives us yet another rocker, which is really nice, but also spikes, which not many Pokemon get in this league or in the format. Now it does also have some very interesting stats: 50 HP, 150 in both defenses. Now pretty much always you're going to be maxing out HP, going 252 or 248, and it can actually tank some hits pretty well. Obviously its attacking stats are lackluster, but you know, stuff like Moonblast is still never bad to have, as it is a fairy type as well as a rock type, so it has some valuable resistances for us. But it does also have body press, so it can at least do some damage as well while getting hazards up, obviously. And that's kind of the gist of this mon. It's not really too complicated. It does its job. It gets up hazards. I don't know, maybe Misty Explosion to get some momentum for us. But that's really it. I guess Trick Room, but I'm not really too sure, because pivoting out is a bit of a problem. But yeah, that's the other Pokemon we decided to pick up this round. So after waiting another round for things to come back to us, another 2 rounds, I forgot to mention this, probably should have mentioned this, but we do have 110 points in this league. We decided to pick up Oranguru. Now Oranguru gave off some much needed resist to Ghost and Psychic, while being immune to Ghost and resisting Psychic, as well as having a pretty decent stat spread, being I guess like a special tank if Torkoals are physical one. Inner Focus has some uses, I guess, probably not too many, but it does have some nice options, attacking options, with its not bad 90 special attacks, Psychic and Hyper Voice as stab attacks, but also options like Thunderbolt, which is very interesting. Pokemon don't usually get that, don't really get an option for that. And yeah, it just has definitely some nice options. It also gets knockoff as well as I believe dual screens. Yes, it does also get dual screens, so it has quite a lot of options it can go for actually. Just be a bulky Pokemon. We could use it to set up screens, or just as a bulky damage trader, or even Nasty Plot, which we do have, which is also quite interesting on this Pokemon. Now it does have some pretty nice bulk: 90 HP, 80 defense, 100 defense, which is 110 defense, which is mainly the reason I drafted it, as well as for its typing, and a serviceable 60 speed. It will get outspeed some stuff, but it's probably not gonna be what we look at most of the time, as well as just another Trick Room Pokemon. I'm not really too sure if we're gonna get any Trick Room strategy down, but it definitely would be interesting to see. And this is the majority of our team. We had very little at this points at this point. So for our final Pokemon on our team, we just decided to pick up Tarantula. Now we actually could have drafted some more expensive Pokemon, because we actually had a few points left over actually after picking this up. But I didn't really think they offered anything. Like most of them were just like subpar Eviolite holders that didn't really do anything. And Tarantula at least gives us some options, with Sticky Web obviously, gives us hazards, it gives us spikes, it also gives us toxic spikes, so it gives us all the hazard options. Now it does have Stakeout, which is a cool ability, doubling damage if they switch in, but based off 41 attack, I really don't think that's gonna do anything. But at least this Pokemon does have first impression and circle throw, so opponents can't just stay in and set up on us for free, which is very nice for like Pokemon that's really not gonna do any damage. I guess it gets knockoff as well. If you want to try something, not sure if we would. Obviously the items for this would be either Eviolite or Focus Sash to be able to live any hit. And yeah, that's our team for the CMM 7th season in a low tier league. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. I personally do like the team, but obviously no one's really an expert in the league, so it's kind of hard to judge what teams are best. I definitely think I will have some fun with it. There are definitely some Pokemon I wanted to use. I do like options like Flamigo, it feels very strong, like consistently good, as well as some Pokemon I just wanted to use because I thought they're cool, like Golurk and Alolan Executor. And yeah, what more can I say then? This is our draft. I believe we face a Baldy week 1. Is it Pokebaldi or just Baldy? I'm not sure, but he has a pretty cool team led by Galvantula and Medicham, and that game should be out next week. I'm getting this video out a bit late. I've just been busy, to be honest. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Leave a like, a sub if you want to see some of our content or if you're enjoying it. And yeah, thank you for watching.